Pluto retrograde squaring Aries North Node. This is beginning on July 23rd. This transit is really going to have an effect on us for at least a good 6 months. So get out your chart and look for where Pluto in Capricorn at 29 degrees is and Aries 6 degrees. And that is where you will be feeling it, whatever house those relate to. And what you'll look at your Capricorn 29 and your Aries 6 degrees. And that's where Pluto and the North Node are hanging out. Pluto, that planet of death, transformation, rebirth, who also rules Scorpio. And we just had so much of that death, transformation, rebirth over the last 2 years as we had all those eclipses on the Scorpio-Taurus axis. And then the North Node moved into Aries and we began a whole new, brand new zodiac wheel, first house Aries, a new way, a new paradigm, but Pluto almost feels like he's pulling us back into where we were when we were going through that whole death, transformation, rebirth. And it feels like we already did this transformative work for the last 2 years. But Pluto squaring Aries, the baby, just as it's taking its first step on a new day. This is like Pluto telling you you're not ready yet. You're not ready to take that first baby step. You still have things you have to transform. You still need to make a powerful internal shift because Pluto rules over the subconscious, the unconscious, and all of our hidden trauma, sometimes things we don't even remember or know about because we've stuffed it so deep. And it's all coming up to the surface now. And this Pluto retrograde squaring the Aries North Node is occurring on the exact same day as Chiron in Aries stations retrograde. Chiron really becoming powerfully strong for all of us who have our Chiron in Aries return. Anyone born between 1969 to 1976, you will be feeling all of this. And I'm going to do a separate report on that, but it's all kind of coming in at the same time as we are in July now. But as we move into fall, all these retrogrades are really pulling up a lot of feels. We're feeling all the feels with this. And squares, remember, are those obstacles and lessons that are unavoidable, and they create those diamond-making pressures and stresses. But you can also look for the gifts within a square. Because how many times in life have you hit an obstacle, or you've had a problem, or you've had one of those hard life lessons, but eventually it leads to some incredible gift. And I think of like years ago when I had a horrible landlord. That had to have been a square. And God, this landlord was the worst. And what did that landlord do for me? He convinced me to buy my first house, right? So even when you're going through a square like this with Pluto squaring the North Node in Aries, and I'm telling you, if you are Capricorn or you're Aries, you are really going to be feeling it. But we all have Capricorn and Aries somewhere. So you might be going through some real hard knock life kind of lessons with this square. But look for the gifts later and you'll go, wow, when I lost my job, that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because then I started this other job and now I make so much more money. Or, gosh, that landlord was such a jerk. He convinced me to buy a house and then I made a ton of money off of real estate investment and I got my real estate license. That kind of thing can happen with these squares. But sometimes when you're in the square, you can't see that something better is going to come. But I'm telling you now, just have faith that if you're in the trenches and it seems really hard, that's usually a sign that something better is coming soon. This is the frustrating part to convince you to make a change so that something better can find you. So we also have this, mission to move forward with Aries. It's like, oh, I'm going to go forth in the world. And the Pluto square is pulling us back to that Capricorn 29 degrees. That is where Pluto was during 2020. And it's as if there was a skipped step. There was something we forgot to do then. There's something we need to complete before our plans can really unfold, right? Perhaps it's something you were doing in 2020 and you just forgot to finish it. And it was a crazy time. That was a chaotic time, 2020. We were all in survival mode. So we had a lot of skip steps. So many of us, when I'm reading astrology charts, I see a lot of skip steps coming up for people. It's like you almost completed the task, but you forgot to do this. You forgot to turn in your homework. And you may have something that you have to finish, some cycle of growth that wasn't completed. And you may also have some painful repeating theme in your life that is showing up now. Pluto is all about those subconscious, unconscious, repetitive themes where like you keep dating the same person who treats you the same way, and you got to get off that treadmill of doing that thing that never turns out good. And if you have some kind of painful repeating theme in your life show up, it might relate to some childhood trauma that needs to be just looked at. This is an incredible time for the next 6 months to go into deep therapy, perhaps do hypnosis, do relationship therapy. In my video about the Aries Libra nodal axis, I mentioned our old traumas would be resurfacing now, especially because this nodal axis is going to conjunct that Chiron in Aries. Chiron in Aries, which is a return for so many people born between 1969 and 1976. So if you haven't watched the Aries Libra nodal axis video, definitely go back. I'll put it in the description. Go back and watch that because that is so tied. Of course, this is a square to that nodal axis. And these old traumas are really going to resurface for so many of us now. And have you really healed your family patterns? Have you really healed the scars of your childhood? And even more, is there something energetically blocking you that comes from your ancestors even? This will be a powerful 6 months to do ancestral, generational trauma healing so that you can move forward. Pluto square is here to help you resolve your issues that are keeping you from moving forward. Pluto is transforming you because Pluto wants you to be bigger and better and more powerful. Pluto rules over power, and this is a time to empower yourself by doing the work, doing the therapy, doing hypnosis, changing your inner thoughts that may be limiting you, pulling up those old beliefs, those old limiting beliefs, and transforming them during this square. That is some powerful homework right there. And perhaps you faced some kind of crisis in your past. And so often when we have crisis, maybe it could have been a car accident or an injury or some kind of other trauma, what do? We don't want to deal with all the feelings around it. And this is our body's own way of surviving. We get all those endorphins, and the endorphins are just going to make us feel good even when we're in the face of an injury or an accident of some sort. And then we don't really process the pain and the suffering around what the situation is bringing us. And so often those things get stuffed. And I have a psychology degree and I do massage therapy, and I can tell you the body holds the body holds trauma. They're like little landmines that we find when we're doing massage therapy work. Oh gosh, that was the trauma from when your friend died and you never really processed it. There it is. It's in your left shoulder. And this kind of stuff will be coming up now to deal with. Pluto is asking you to unleash those landmines, that old trauma. Clean up your subconscious thoughts, clean up your past traumas. Healer, heal thyself so that you can start this new journey with this Aries warrior wanting to move forward. Aries wants to shoot the bow and arrow and wants to go forth. But you cannot go forth when you have all this heavy emotional baggage from your past life traumas. It can even be past life, because Pluto and Saturn, when they go retrograde, I tell you, the past life stuff is coming up too. Maybe you're having dreams about past lives. Maybe you're meeting people. Pay attention to who shows up during this Pluto square and this Saturn retrograde, because we can have a lot of past life people, old twin flames. Maybe you meet an old soulmate, or you meet a friend that just seems so familiar. The first time you meet them, it's like, oh, I know you, and you just carry on like your old friends. And it can really relate to past life karma even coming up, past life karma coming up to be healed before we ascend to this new, higher energetic frequency. Because Pluto, the sign of power, and remember, Pluto rules plutonium even, which is all about making nuclear bombs. And I'm a little afraid of having that Pluto, plutonium, nuclear squaring in conflict with Aries, the warrior. Aries, who rules over war. We could have this Pluto squaring Aries could be a bit of a sign that there could be an indicator of war, really, and I hope that's not true. But maybe it's just a war within ourselves, or maybe it's a war within our relationships, and at the same time we have Venus going retrograde, Venus going into the underworld. So we just have a lot going on right now, and I just wanted to do this little extra video to just give you some coping mechanisms. Be compassionate with yourself. Get the self-care, get the healing you need. Go into therapy, either in relationship therapy or just going into therapy by yourself, or maybe you want to do both. Do the hypnosis or listening to even hypnosis. I like this one guy, Dachi. I might leave a link to him below, and he's just so comforting, and he's a therapist, and he does hypnosis that you can listen to at night. Do something to comfort your subconscious, your unconscious mind, who could really be pulling up some old wounds, things that are resurfacing. And the best thing you can do is just treat yourself like that inner child. Aries represents the baby. Aries ties into our inner child that we need to heal. So heal yourself by taking care of that inner child. And how do you take care of that inner child? You need to be maybe a little bit selfish right now, spending the money on the body work, the healing, the Reiki, the distance energy clearings, and nourishing yourself, nurturing yourself. I do distance Reiki and distance energy clearings if you're not local, and if you're local, I do body work and massage in person too. But you don't have to go to me. There's thousands of healers in the world, and go find healers. Or if you are a healer, this is a good time to be doing trades with other healers so that we can all support each other during this time. It is going to be pretty intense for the next 6 months, I'm not going to lie. So be compassionate with yourself, be compassionate with others out in the world who may really be struggling with this square. And just know that if things get really hard, that probably means that something even better is coming right around the corner. Once you do your homework, your big fat Pluto transformation homework, then the baby can take its first step. And if you want to launch something, I've been saying this on so many of my readings. I just did the Aquarius supermoon reading. You'll have to check that out. And I keep saying, if you want to launch something, wait till next February when the energy really supports it. And if you want to know how to align with the stars, how to make a change when the energy really supports it, go to my website, link is down below, and get a free 9-star key astrology reading, and you will learn about your own personal 9-star key star that relates to the 5 elements. And this is a nature-based system. I love this system even more than Western astrology. It really helps me to align with the energy, to move when the energy supports it, and to not do things when the energy doesn't support it. And everything goes better when you align with the energy. And you can get a free reading when you sign up for my email newsletter. And the link is down below, KamimiHealingArts.com. Thank you so much for watching, and we will get through this Pluto retrograde squaring the North Node in Aries together. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe for a chance to win a free full astrology reading on the next Pisces supermoon.